Yes. A crime is the commission of an act forbidden by law. Yes. Now, this is forbidden by law. Yes. And you had to have actually committed the crime. Yes. The act of something that is forbidden by law. But without motive. Yes. Yes. What would have motivated you to violate certain laws? Something as a need or desire, which causes a person to act. Now, these sons that I have, yes, somebody had the motive, yes, to commit an act forbidden by law, yes, to have possession, yes, of something that didn't belong to them. Now, what's your motive? And then what did you do that the law forbids? Yes, so that you could have possession of an inheritance, yes, or the assets of something that doesn't belong to you. Now, we all know in money management, yes, that is not the fees or the commissions that you pay. No, it's the assets that you control. See, a lot of these money management firms, yes, it is not the amount of money that you're paying them for the management of the assets. It's the control of the assets that they possess control of. Yes. Now, let's say I was a multi-trillionaire. And your motive for violating the laws, what is forbidden, yes, was that you wanted to have possession of what belongs to me or what belongs to my sons. Now, as the father of five sons, yes, I would say there's some motive to commit the crime of violating the laws of the United States so that you can have possession of what does not belong to you. Now, there's some small inheritances, yes, quite possibly Elmer and Berna Hulse, yes. hmm The sheriff's department today decided that their family was going to take possession of something that would have been the possession of my sons, yes. If I were to die, they would have actual ownership of it. Oh. And then there's the possibility of Edward Budnick, yes, in Yuma, Arizona, where a half brother shows up in 1988, yes, sells off the place, yes, 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 without telling Clara, his wife, or my father, Paul Douglas Budnick, yes, because somebody thought that they had to control the aquifer, the water in the southern part of the United States. See, my father had told me that my grandfather crossed the desert when he was 16 years old. Yes. He'd moved to Arizona and quite possibly homesteaded the place and had hand dug a well so as to be able to survive back then. Now, it would have been, well, let's see, he died in 88. Yes, it would have been somewhere around the 1920s. Yeah, wasn't a lot of people living in Yuma at that time. Then there's the question of the ARP side. Yes, my biological grandfather, Raymond Arthur Arp. Yes, could have been that I was the only male biological grandson of Raymond. Yes, yes, yes. Supposedly he had some sort of interest in gold mines in California. And then there's Eunice Conant, recently deceased in 2016, where they sold off everything. And Chuck, her husband, had been an employee of Boeing Corporation for 38 years. Probably owned some stock. Decided to leave it in the safe for 50 years, thinking it might be worth something someday. And then there's Heidi's biological father, Griggs, Georgia. There might be some inheritances that my sons are being deprived of from her biological side of the family. Yes, yes, yes. Some saltpeter mines that were used to make gunpowder. Now we're looking at the actual possessions as an inheritance. Yes, we are. Now, these motives to commit crimes that are forbidden by law, so that you would say I was in Squim, Washington when I wasn't. Yeah. You would say I was crazy. Yeah. You would say I was in Brennan, Washington when I wasn't. Yes. Because you'd say I was crazy right now. See, there's a large amount of motive to do what the law forbids. Yes. And a lot of it has to do with the actual possession of the inheritance. Now, let's say the sheriff's department had motive. Yes, they did. Because their family just did not realize that as a father, I have an obligation to protect the inheritances of my sons. Yes. Now, these royal families back in the day, they just take the property of those that were peasants. Yes. Paupers. Oops. The indigent. Yes. Those that just didn't have their own army to be able to say, well, you do not have the legal right to take what belongs to me. Now, you never had the legal right to take my sons. Yes. You never gave me any due process. The marriage certificate was issued from the United Nations. Yes, yes, yes. I never got a dissolution of marriage, and you issued court orders without. Right now, I'm telling you, there's a large amount of money to do what. Now, when we start looking at those that manage the assets, let's say I took it to the next level. The United States Treasury doesn't have any actual assets. We're a deficit spending nation. And it's not that the military spends $650 billion a year supporting themselves. It's the possession of the military that you have to be concerned. See, it's not the buying and the selling, is it? It's who is it that gets to control the United States military. Now, generals and admirals have to follow.